Alright, hello and welcome to my LGL Season 6 post-draft analysis. Just gonna briefly go over everything I've picked up and give my thoughts on how the team looks for the season. Starting off, we got Ponyta, part of this big trade I had with Jamal. I originally drafted Grookey with the 5th overall pick, but I ended up trading Grookey, Woobat, and Fuecoco for Ponyta, Ferroseed, and Natu. Definitely, I think, a good trade for me. I now have what I'd describe as a good, balanced team. Maybe leaning a bit more towards bulky offense. But Ferroseed and Onyx, and to an extent Staryu and Grimer, are both very good, bulky pieces. And then stuff like Ponyta's pretty bulky too. Machop has some physical bulk. Yanma and Zoroark not as much, but Natu can also be used either offensively or defensively. Really good Pokemon, and I think it's going to be a good season. I think there's a lot to look forward to with these Pokemon. Yeah, Ponyta, we all know what it can do. It's also my Terra Captain, which I'm very, very excited about. I think that's going to be really good for me because it gets all these great attacking moves like Wild Charge, Play Rough, a Low Kick as well because there's a Munchlax in my division that could be good, Horsepower, Iron Tail, and of course the great fire moves. I can also run a Curse set if I'm looking to get pretty weird. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to use this again, I think for the 3rd time in LGL that I've had Ponyta. And it's fantastic, especially when it's paired with a great hazard setter like Ferroseed. Usually, I've never been a big fan of Ferro in draft, but, I've got the best fire type at least. There will be some very threatening fighting types, though, in my division, like Meta-type, for example, and Mienfoo, so I'm going to have to be careful of those. But I still think Ferroseed's going to be able to put in plenty of work. It's like a bunch of really good moves, like Knockoff, Spikes and Stealth Rock, of course. I can also run Bullet Seed if it wants to take advantage of multi-hits. Thunder Wave is always great. And then it can just, run Iron Head, maybe even Hone Claws if I really want to. Gyro Ball in certain situations, maybe a Curse set. And if it comes to it, I can just blow up. This will almost always be holding an Eviolite. But I've had a couple ideas for some upcoming matchups where I might not be running Eviolite. I have a couple other little devilish ideas. But now on to the rounding out of the Firewater Grass core. Staryu, also another good Eviolite holder, but it can really hold. This thing, it's good with Berry Juice, good with the Life Orb, not bad with Specs or Scarf either. And it can probably have one of these other items. It could run Boots if I really wanted it to. If I ran out of Juices and Eviolites, Boots with the Rapid Spin is not bad. Staryu's another great. I got a ton of Thunder Wave on this team, which is great when I have Machop. It means that, yeah, I could max speed Machop, hitting 14. Come on. That just doesn't like to work with the minus symbol. Yeah, then I could just run 14, max attack. The Eviolite wouldn't have to run Scarf, be able to have the Eviolite for more bulk. So it's 18, I believe, or not, just 17, but it's still very powerful. A bit unfortunate of an EV spread, though. It doesn't let me get anything else, but I could sacrifice attack. Yeah, Machop's very good, but let me get back to Stardew. A bunch of good attacking moves, Flip Turn, Ice Beam. Power Gem's interesting, but I'd probably be running something like Thunderbolt. Psychic's always good, plenty of fighting types in the tier. And the ability to run a good hidden power off of a pretty good special attack is always nice, and hitting 19 speed. Positive nature. Really, really good. Only problem is that low base HP, but 55 split defenses makes it fairly bulky. As long as it's holding Eviolite. Without an Eviolite, Your bulk takes a hit, but it does allow you to run a more offensive set like Life Orb. And I think I said it already, but it gets Thunder Wave, which is these 3 Pokemon in the middle, they all get it. But Natu, I like Choice Scarf Natu. It was one of my favorite leads in Gen 8 Little Cup because I think it was really hard to deal with outside of leading like Poniard and immediately Sucker Punching. I don't think there was a great counter lead to Scarf Natu, except maybe your own and winning the speed tie. Or maybe, maybe you'd want to lose the speed tie on that U-turn, but depends. Because they could Shadow Ball you, which is a great move for Natu to have. But U-turn, also great. T-Wave, Trick Room if I really wanted to, Wish, not that useful. At least in Little Cup. Teleport is good. Tailwind, pretty niche, but it could work. Like a Tailwind set with maybe Banded Machop could be pretty funny. Bulk Up always nice. Oh wait. I'm so excited to talk about Machop. Calm Mind's always good. This can run Stored Power as well, I believe. Yep, with Cosmic Power. Gotta pause the recording. Alright, I am now back. Yeah, Natu, very, very good Pokemon. Can also run several different items, basically the same ones I said would Staryu. And I'm very excited to use it again. I think this is the second time I've had it. Also, yeah, ooh, it can use Magic Coat, in case Magic Bounce isn't enough. Maybe, very specifically, you'd want to use... Why would you want Early Bird if you can just Magic Bounce it? And same with Synchronize, like, both of these are just worse Magic Bounce. Though I guess some Pokemon will have Mold Breaker, which can be a bit of a problem. Machop, definitely something I'm very excited to use. I've never actually used it in Little Cup before. 2 pretty good abilities and a very niche ability, though it could come into play. If I ever face someone who loves using Fake Out, well, they're gonna have to be careful, because if I'm running Steadfast, giving Machop a speed boost, when it's throwing out fucking, like cross chops and close combats off of a good attack stat, I'm gonna have to be careful. It gets good coverage too, Earthquake, Fire Punch, Knock Off Ice Punch, Poison Jab for Fairies, Thunder Punch for bulky water, Rock Slide for the flying types, that aren't hit by Thunder Punch, of course. Yeah, it's a good Pokemon. And No Guard Dynamic Punch, ooh, and Cross Chop, oh man. What I like to see. Priority and Bullet Punch, Bulk Up. Oh, if only I got Drain Punch. I don't know why they never gave them Machop line Drain Punch. I don't like that. Maybe Machamp gets it, but I don't think he does. Also gets Facade, I believe? Yep. Facade in case I want to run Guts. That could work one week. See what the teams look like. See how weak they are to Facade. And obviously they could prep it if they just watch this, but you never know. Well, so far Peachy's team looks the weakest to Facade, and then of course I have EQ for Tinkatink. That wouldn't be a very big problem, and Shuppet is fucking Shuppet. If it shows up, I've basically am playing 6-5 on them. This team's weak to it. Basically any team without a really good Theo or Ghost. And Ghastly, like this team's not very impacted by it, I don't think. I don't know if Ghastly's dead, maybe, but overall I don't really think so. Geyser's team is pretty weak to it. I'd have to be really careful of Diglett just coming in and revenge killing me. That's always threatening. Weebo's team is too fast. Like shit like Mienfoo, Carvana, and Litten, and Anorith, they're all just gonna come in and Deerwing and just crush me. He also has Gravard if he wants to. And this team has a Frillish, which is like... Well, I mean, that's actually kind of good. I might run Guts against the Frillish team. So it could be like, ooh, I'm going to Will-O-Wisp you, and then I knock off its Eviolite, and it does like 78%, and then it's in tears. But yeah, Machop, fun looking Pokemon. Terrible special defense though, I'm gonna have to look out for that. Good HP, good attack. And if I give it the Eviolite, it's bulky enough. When I don't know if it's really bulky, it's bulky enough. The way I'll put it. Onyx, well, I doubt Onyx's record for kills in LGL will ever be beaten. If it does get beaten, it'll be this season, since this is probably the only season where we'll actually have 9 regular season games. It'll probably go back down to 7 next season. But we just had to expand the divisions to accommodate for the increased amount of people. Yeah. Onyx, you know, when you first look at Onyx, you think, okay, it has 2 things. It can Stealth Rock, and it can Dragon Dance. And while that may be somewhat true, I think its move pool is just barely good enough to give it some options. Like, could run a Curse Set if it really wanted to, with Body Press as a good attacking option along with EQ and Rock Blast. But it also gets, like, Heavy Smash, or no, Heavy Slam. It does get Rockhead with, whatever that move is, Head Smash, which would make up for its fairly low 45 attack. The whole thing about Onyx is that it gets 17 speed with a positive nature and max EVs. That is so huge for something that is setting up hazards. Like, I've got a fast hazard setter and a slow one. I like it. You know, they're both weak to fighting, but you know, they've got sturdy juice, so they'll be okay. And of course, Dragon Dance is still a fantastic set. Being able to have 21 attack and 25 speed after Dragon Dance is pretty nice, you know? That's quite fast. That outspeeds the vast majority of Scarfers. Or at least, yeah, because most Scarfers are like 14 speed Scarf, not 17 speed Scarf. And then there's some 15s and 16s in there. But yeah, like Porygon I think is a 15 Scarfer. It might only be a 14, but I think it can hit 15. And I could easily just outspeed it in Body Press. At +1, or I probably just Rock Blast at +1 or EQ. Probably EQ. It's Scarf on Scarf. And of course, I mean, as long as I don't get frozen, I can Sturdy Juice back up and I can basically be at full health. It also gets Taunt. Taunt, I think, is a very underrated move on it. Because it's fast, like I said. Which means if it's going up against a lot of the other hazard setters, it's going to be able to prevent them from setting up hazards. And then if it can't really damage Onyx very well, Onyx can just set up a Dragon Dance and just start going off. Like Taunt, DD, Rock Blast, Earthquake is not bad. But that's all I have for Onyx. I'm excited to use it again though. Zorua, another thing I've never used. I have it holding a scarf here. I think that's one of its better items. Gets some good moves. Like Sludge Bomb is always nice because it's a dark type. Obviously gets good dark moves. But also gets Knockoff, Memento, and Sucker Punch, which I think all of them are really underutilized on it, so I'm excited to use it, especially when I can bluff it as something as terrifying as Yanmar, or something as hard-hitting as Ponyta. Or I could disguise it as Pharaoh Seed and have someone think they outspeed. You never know. Like, oh, I'm a somewhat hard-hitting, but not, like, too devastating Fire-type Pokemon, and I think I'm faster, but oh no, this is a Zorua, and I did 65% to you. Or, like, we trade 65%, but now you're at 35% and slower than me. And you're gonna have to switch into a Dark Pulse from Zorua, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. Zorua hits 17, and that's even if it's just, like, without a positive nature. It doesn't need to run max speed with its Scarf. It can be a 14 Scarf, or it can be a 15 if it wants to be. Yeah, like, running a 15 Scarf allows it to invest a little bit in bulk, which is nice. I'd probably do this, or this, depending on my matchup. Or it doesn't even have to run Scarf at all. It can just run 17, 17, and then like Life Orb or something. to make it hit pretty hard. But yeah, having that, it's more. I have Zorua because it's difficult to team build around, and it can force people to have to guess during the match, which is nice because if they guess wrong, like I could just maybe instant win. But like, you know, I have a couple good things to disguise Zorua as. Like, I could disguise it as Natu so people don't want to hit me with fighting type moves. I could disguise it as Machop so people want to hit me with psychic moves, but oh no, that Machop is immune to psychic. Ruh-roh, I'm going to get hit very hard. I could disguise as Grimer, so then people might switch out their fairy type, thinking, alright, well, I can't do shit because it's Grimer. I'm going to be taking like 95% just to do 20 to this Grimer. It's not worth it to switch out. And then they see, oh no, Grimer just U-turned on me. And because I went into my ground type to beat Grimer, they just U-turned with their Zorua into Staryu. And now have a great matchup on my ground type. Yeah, that's bad. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, Zorua, just really good to have around. And I think I gave it a few good pieces to disguise as. Which is very important, because if your Zorua has nothing good to bluff, then people are just going to not care. They're just going to hit what's in front of them. They're not going to have to think. With Zorua, you want to make people think. It's a big part of this. Especially if people overthink, they can throw matches. And that's pretty big. Grimer. I used Grimer's Alolan form last season to, I would say, fairly good success. And look at this. I've got Sticky Hold, which is the better ability. I don't think Alolan Grimer gets that. I think it only has Poison Touch. Let me check that. Yeah, it has worse abilities on Grimer Alola, but a better typing in Poison Dark. Having that dark typing is, oh my god, stab knockoff, my beloved. But enough of that. Yeah, Sticky Hold so I can never lose my Eviolite, which is very nice, along with basically every move Alolan Grimer has except knockoff. Which, yeah, that's a pretty big loss. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but hey, Alolan Grimer was 10 points, and this is 8 points. I had a budget, and Alolan Grimer was taken very early. So, yeah. Yeah, it gets a lot of good moves. I don't have a ton to talk about with the Grimer. I feel like I discussed a little bit with how it partners with Zorua fairly well. Also, I know I mentioned the Fairy type already, but also this resists fighting, this is weak to fighting. Always a good combo with Zorua. Rain Punch is a very nice move to have. Lets it hit Steel types and recover HP, which, what more do you want, really? How much more do you actually need than to be able to recover? To beat Steels. Also Fire Punch in case it's like a Hone Edge or something. So if I was facing a Hone Edge, I might just run mixed with Fire Blast and go minus speed. Because I think that would be pretty funny. Let's see, Taunt is always somewhat good, prevents setup sweepers from ruining Grimer, although it most likely will get the Taunt off second, so I'd have to be careful. Memento, always good, because Memento could let something like Machop get a bulk up off, and then it could just start going ham on the opponent. So that's pretty threatening, you know? Or maybe even a Curse if I wanted to. Bulk up is usually just better Curse, but maybe if I was running Trick Room or something with Staryu. Or with Natu, I mean. I don't really have a good Trick Room team. However, I will be facing a Trick Room team. Where are they? Oh no, wait, Kha'Zix and Scarlet, never mind. Damn, that sucks, I wanted to face them. Facing Trick Room is always interesting. But, yeah, Grimer, just a very good overall Pokemon to have. It's just annoying. Like, ooh, hey, they've got a team that's fairly weak to fighting. Oh, they've got Grimer. Well, up to the drawing board. And another good fighting type answer, Yanma. Classic Life Orb Speed Booster. Really, really good stats. 95 speed with Speed Boost is crazy. Just do this. Hit 19, no problem. And this thing just goes off. Oh wait, that's right, it's 20 with the positive nature. I just realized that. I always thought Yanma capped out at 19. That's crazy. See, I can run... Dude, that's insane. I can have an 18 special attacker, have 19 speed and boost. And usually you can run Protect on it, too, because it doesn't get, like, insane coverage, but its coverage is good enough. Like Bug Buzz. Wait, this thing doesn't get Air Slash? Since when? Why is this unusually useless? What is the useful? There's no flying type moves here. Why is that unusually useless? That is a fucking error. Dude, I had a heart attack. I was like, what? No, I know Yanma gets Air Slash. I've used it in a side league before. And then, Psychic's kind of dumb. Oh, I could hit poisons. Yeah, so something like this thing will just go off. Yeah, the EVs are unsatisfying. So are my chops. Yeah, super hard hitting special attacker. Gotta be careful of its rock type weakness though. Weakness to stealth rock, but I do have, Staryu, probably the best spinner. And Natu, good magic bouncer. It always does lead Yanma though. It also gets U-turn, I believe. Yeah, so it's like... You know what? I feel good leading it. Yeah, that's gonna be the team. It also gets a decent, just attack stat. Although, yeah, if I were to just give it its EV, or IVs back, okay, I think it's base 65, so it still gets 11 on a minus, which is, it's something. Yeah, that's going to be the team for this season. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, sorry, Milcery, I had to pick up a one-pointer. It's not the worst one-pointer, probably one of the better ones. Just a pretty rough move pool overall, though. And it gets aromatherapy, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't get Moonblast. It gets Draining Kiss, but no setup move. Like Calm Mind. If it got Calm Mind, it'd be like a pretty good one-pointer. But it gets Recover, and I guess Last Resort is kind of funny. But yeah, like I said, that's the team.